AirPods Max doesn't support Apple Music's lossless quality, and here's my hot take. Who gives a shit? You want to talk us through this one, Luke?
Sure. Apple's $549 AirPod Max won't support their new lossless service rolling out in June. Neither will other AirPods, to be clear, but I believe we use those ones for the title because they're the big, juicy, expensive ones. Apple Music Lossless will stream clean audio that is a bit identical to the original master. Starts at CD quality, goes as high as audio file, which is 24-bit, 192 kilohertz. Which is like kind of wild for mobile. It's kind of wild in general, but also specifically wild for mobile. The issue boils down to the fact that Bluetooth caps out at 3 megabits per second in total. Apple's typical Bluetooth bitrate is 250 kilobits per second, which lines up with AAC. Bluetooth's highest bitrate codec can stream near 1 megabit per second, which is the Sony LDAC. Bitrate isn't a concern for lossless quality, but it does determine what you can stream, yada yada. Either way, they're not compatible, which is funny. But I kind of agree with Linus's stance that it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, I don't think you necessarily expect to get the full bang of the buck out of lossless quality from AirPods Max, and I would kind of argue that if you did a blind taste test, most people couldn't tell the difference between lossless and loss files, even on setups where you probably could tell the difference. You know?
If you thought you were going to get around this, by the way, by using a Lightning to 3.5 millimeter adapter, no. The AirPods Max only take digital input. So if you're listening over 3.5 millimeter, is actually converting that digital input to analog using a DAC. So whoops. And then it's going into the AirPods by converting from analog to digital. Yeah, so you're basically adding extra noise to the signal. So if your whole thing is that you want the most lossless possible experience, that is definitely not the solution. However, leaker John Prosser says a new firmware may let AirPods Max do lossless. Wi-Fi is not nearly as limited as Bluetooth in terms of bandwidth, not even close. And Apple may turn on AirPlay support for the AirPods Max for lossless streams. Prosser goes as far as to say that Apple is planning on it. Apple also filed a patent in 2019 that would increase Bluetooth to 8 megabit per second. The thing, though, is that, guys, okay, like Luke said, have you actually listened to AirPods Max, Luke?
No, and I have heard they're very good, but I still have a hard time believing. You know, like I've done tests with like pretty high-end audio gear where you try different audio files, like the actual files.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to tell. And especially when you're like testing yourself, it's pretty hard to tell like, okay, is this placebo because I know what file I just opened? Or do I like actually hear a difference? And it's pretty hard to discern. So being able to do that with mobile earbuds is
Yeah, and the thing is that it's not like all is lost, because it's part of the point of lossless audio files is kind of a garbage in, sort of garbage out way of thinking about it. If you have lossy files and then a lossy streaming codec to your imperfect headphones, you're basically kind of you're changing the original sound 3 times at 3 separate stages. However, if you have a lossless file that is then being streamed in a lossy format to your imperfect headphones, you're basically just taking one more place that the sound could change. You're taking one more of those steps out of the potential change. So you're basically going to benefit from these lossless audio files, even if the streaming protocol that your headphones are using is not capable of preserving that.
That's a good point, because like another way to look at it is almost like frame rates. Like increasing your maximums is cool, but lifting those minimums is extremely important.
Yeah.
Raising the bottom bar is really important. So if you can avoid any issues there, it's a very positive experience. But yeah, I don't know.
I also just really don't think it's a big deal because once
Yeah.
you get to the point where you're at about like 192 kilohertz or whatever that, no, 192, it's just kilobit per second, right?
I think it's kilohertz.
Second,
192 kilohertz. Pretty sure.
no, it's kilobit per second. I'm just
Really?
gonna,
It's
yeah,
in
yeah,
the sheet as kilohertz.
yeah, ignore that.
Oof.
So as soon as you get to 192 kilobit per second, like
Oh, right. That
it's
makes sense. Jeez.
really, really, really hard to tell, guys. And I'm talking about even on legitimately, actually high-end headphones, not AirPods Max. I got
Yeah,
such
and
a kick out of Apple's marketing for AirPods Max. They treated it like it was going to be the way they described it. And they're always like this. They're hyperbolic, right? They described it like it was going to be God's gift to audiophiles. And no, it's consumer headphones for consumers. Let's stop pretending this is a premium audio solution because it's just not.
and there is fairly premium IEMs. I haven't listened to them, but I'm going to assume that this ain't it, Chief. I also think that like if you were already going to buy these $549 AirPod Maxes, there was probably a lot of other reasons, and I don't necessarily think that this is going to hold almost anyone back. I would make that argument.